you know any alcoholics, I think they'd have a hard time explaining why they do what they do as well. I went home after that and I told my wife about it, and we talked and decided that I needed to go to alcohol treatment to see if I could get some long-term sobriety and learn how to deal with it. At that point in time, we tried getting into different treatment centers, and all my insurance wouldn't cover it, but they would cover an outpatient treatment. So I began that, going 3 or 4 nights a week through the summer and into the fall, and things seemed to be going pretty well. I was learning a lot about how to deal with the issue without falling continuously back into turning towards alcohol. And we came back in session. The first week I gone out with a colleague to an AA meeting after we were done with session, and that seemed to help quite a bit. And the following week we were in session, and I had a particularly stressful day. I went down to my office afterwards and was doing some work and opened my desk drawer, and I saw an empty bottle of lorazepam with that one refill. And for whatever reason, I can't explain it, I called Walgreens and they said they'd refill it. So I took that drug again, and at the time I had a pretty bad cold. I was also taking cough medicine, and I was careful to get the kind without alcohol, but I didn't realize at the time that the antihistamines in it can also affect you. The next day, I was picked up near Wausau and eventually charged with operating under the influence. I am contesting that charge. I was 0.00 on the breathalyzer, and I believe what I took was well within the pharmaceutical guidelines. Although I was drowsy, I don't believe I was intoxicated, and the toxicology reports aren't in yet. But needless to say, the media storm around that was, pretty severe. That's when a friend, a constituent, called me and suggested that I tried the VA, that they'd let veterans into an alcohol and drug treatment center, which I wasn't aware of. And so I went and got accepted into Toma. I was there my first week. I met with my physician assistant, and she had asked me how things were going, and I told her, pretty good since I'd been there, except the night before when I was sitting in the lounge with some of my fellow patients in there. I saw myself on TV, and that had stressed me out a little bit, and whenever they turned on the radio, I kept hearing myself on the radio. So the next day she came in and called me back to her office and apologized to me and said that she had written in her notes that I was delirious and was hearing things and seeing things. And I guess then she went home that night and Googled me and found out that I really was seeing myself on TV and on the radio. Needless to say, she prescribed another drug for me, another benzodiazepine, and I told her the history I had with that, and we thought that this would be a little different. And also because it was I wasn't given a bottle, it was directly given to me by the medical staff each day. About a week later, a roommate of mine, who was a Vietnam veteran, had a real stressful experience and left the facility in tears, and the counselors asked if I knew where he was going, and I thought I did, and asked if I would go get him. And I did. I had taken my medications that day, but they were well within whatever the guidelines are. I came back after not finding him and was a little stressed out and was given some more medication by the nursing staff and then brought to my room and went to bed. The next thing I know, I woke up in jail. So a lot of people that have seen that video taking me stumbling around, I agree, I looked horrible. I have absolutely no recollection of that whatsoever. And that's a matter pending before the court. I don't want to get too much into the details of it. But I do want to say that right after that, I decided that no matter what the cost was, I had to get into a good treatment facility, and I took out a loan and went to Ellie Phillips Treatment Center. And it's been around for a long time. It's an absolutely excellent facility. And I stayed there for over a month, and I believe it saved my life. I mean, what I experienced there for the month, the people I met, the counselors I had, the deacon who I spoke with on a regular basis, were extremely helpful, not only in dealing with the issues of alcoholism, but with all that my family had been through in the previous year. My wife had left me by that time. We've been together for 16 years, and that was bothering me as well, but she agreed to go to the counseling that Ellie Phillips offered too, and it was helpful for her. It was also helpful because, with genetics, I realized that my kids might be facing some of the same issues as they get older, and it's important to me to be sober and be able to give them the guidance that they need when they face it. And I think I'm in a much better position now as a father to help them through that. And that's one thing that, despite all of this, that if you know me personally, that's one thing about me that, I worship my kids. I spend all my time with them. I'm a very hands-on dad. I have 3 children, 11, 6, and 2. And I think that's the most important thing in life, and that's why we're here. And I think that's what finally gave me the motivation to go through treatment and make the effort to make sure that I got off alcohol. And it's why, as I look back on it, as much as I regret the danger I put people in on the highways and the embarrassment I've caused the constituents, I don't regret what happened, because I really do believe that that's what it was going to take to get me sober. And in the long run, that's more important. During that time, my family obviously went through a lot. Like I said, my marriage had split up, and the media was pretty crazy. It was tough for my kids to go to school. And at one point in time, a reporter from TV 13 actually showed up at my front door and stuck a TV camera on my 11-year-old daughter's face, and really traumatized her. And then shortly after,